So what's up? What's up? This is the Grow Givers Project Podcast. We're back here again. My name's JuJuan Buford. And of course, I have my incredible co-host, Adrienne Ponce. And Adrienne, what I was thinking about, based on a couple conversations I had with some business owners, like the one I was just talking about, right? The needs to pivot, right? What would I do if my business blew up yesterday? Like gone, right? There's nothing. There's no CRM. There's no phone full of 6,000 contacts plus. There's no business lines in place, no checking, savings account, DDA. It just blew up overnight, right? And given this environment, what would I do to relaunch and start again, right? And I've been having this conversation with business owners over the last 2 weeks indirectly. And I thought, it'd be something interesting to talk about for the audience. So I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on that subject? I know what I would do personally. I'm curious to know what you would do if that situation transpired.
Well, I know exactly what I would do because I have had to essentially restart my life over again from scratch, like from ground zero. So I think for me, I like the service industry. I like bartending and working with people. And what I really like about it is the fact that you can make cash every day. So you're able to somewhat leverage yourself, because if you're a hard worker and you're looking to pick up extra shifts, there's always high turnover in those kind of businesses. Unless it's someplace that's, kind of got a really good reputation. There's, some places that have had the same people for like decades. But like in a sports bar type of environment, that's what I'm talking about. That's where I would probably, drop for ground zero. I would, want a bartender, waitress, preferably bartending. And I would use my social media to leverage myself to get people to come and, I would let them know like, hey, I'm starting something new, blah, 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 whatever. And then I would, promote myself on my social media. That's what I did when I previously bartended. I used my social media. I leveraged myself. I would take pictures of myself a lot. And I would, post them up, promote them. And, other women who I was working with, we would, post up together, and we would invite, clients and customers that were coming up there on a regular basis, like, hey, what are you doing? Like if it was dead or whatever, just to like, be like, hey, what are you doing? You should come up here. I'm gonna save you a seat. Like, or like even when they're there, hey, I made an executive decision. I know you want another whatever they're drinking. Or hey, such and such food, blah, 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 like this, you're there to sell food and drink. So I think like that's what I would focus on to stack my chips and be able to start again on the.
That's so interesting, because I did not know that was a thing until recently.
What, sports bar or?
Well, how, as someone in the service industry, how you can really use social media to drive traffic, right?
Absolutely.
How you can really become an asset onto yourself. I remember there was a bartender that worked at a cafe who just had like mad energy, real enthusiasm, real cool to be around. I normally don't attempt to engage bartenders too much. I know people are constantly hitting on them. So, I maintain a little bit of arm's distance. I'm cordial, I'm nice, and what have you. But it was irresistible talking to her, because she could just get up in your grill and she would talk about any and everything, right? And I remember I went online and I saw the fact that she was literally recording herself having fun. Like she would record certain conversations, right? But it was almost like day in the life. And I was like, what's this all about? And then I made the connection, quick, fast. I was like, oh my God, like a lot of these people who are coming in here, they're learning about her via social media. And that's how she made the set hot. And then I can't recall if she quit or was let go. More than likely, knowing her, she was not let go. She quit to move on to a better location. But man, I remember like the traffic in that place dropped off like almost overnight. It was a wrap.
Or maybe she was stacking her chips to like go on to another venture. Like,
Yeah.
she was stacking her money to maybe start her own business or, whatnot, because a lot of people who I was in communication with, when I bartended, they were like, oh damn, what happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, I started my own thing. This is what I'm
Yeah.
doing, and just promote from there too. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. If you're smart and you know how to leverage yourself and you're into social media, because some people are not into social media. But I mean, I think like if you're bartending and you're in the public, then I mean, obviously you want to make the most that you can. You want to have, repeat clientele. You want to make sure that you have a good memory, can remember what people drink and what they like to eat. Even if you can't remember their names, if you can remember that, that's going to impress people. They'll go, damn, you remember what I like to drink, or you
Yeah.
remember what I eat, whatever. So I definitely think it's if you have that skill set and you don't mind doing it, then I think it's definitely a game changer. And people who follow your social media, even if they're just bored, like, oh, hey, I seen you posted up, I just decided to come up here. Oh, now I'm hungry, like it just goes hand in hand. So 'cause a lot of
Yes.
people have ants in their pants. They don't want to stay home. They don't like staying home. They don't like, being in the house. They like being out and about. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people like that. And two, if you got like a diverse clientele, there's all different types of people you can interact with, it could be very, very good.
So you would basically jump back into the service industry. Now,
Yep.
here's the thing. Knowing what I've learned and know about you, man, I know you were having like 300, 400, and $500 days.
And more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and yeah,
I mean, we felt honestly like
yeah,
we were making the same amount of money as like actual strippers, because we had like a lot of different type of clientele. We had like
yeah.
um street guys, people with a lot of disposable income coming in. Like, these dudes are getting $50 carry out and tipping $100 because they like you and because you remembered what they drank and it was crowded and you're like, hey, come here, what do you
Mhm.
need? I'll put your order in for you. Like, they like the service. And I mean, obviously it's a sports bar, we're not doing anything like at that type of level, but people really were very generous, especially too if they like get to know you and they know like you're trying to do whatever. I mean, of course, there's obviously gonna be people who are cheap. That's just a given. But for the most part, most of the people that came in there were very generous, helpful, nice. So yeah, it was definitely a very good. And two, where I was at, there was two of us, and most of the girls who I worked with were equally as motivated. There were some
Yep.
girls that I really liked working with where I was like, man, like, this is like the best, like, and like they'd be like, hey, Ponce, did you get them over there? Like, we'd be making sure we were covering everything. And, it's a fun environment too, where you're if they have music, they got food. Some days we would have like karaoke. So it was definitely good. And when people are having time, they're going to spend their money and they're going to eat,
So
drink some more.
so what will be your next pivot though? Because you're accustomed to earning close to four figures, if not four figures, on a daily basis. And now you've invested this time and energy, but you built your brand. Yeah, now you got following, right? What will be your next pivots?
My next pivot would be to just promote my PPLSI business to anybody and everybody who I was in communication with. That would be, obviously get to know them, talk with them, see what they got going on. And then, networking to see what they were doing, if there was anything that interested me where I could collaborate with somebody on. I mean, obviously, if like my chips are down and I'm trying to creep on a come up, I need like some type of direction. If
Yeah.
everything that I'm doing now with the real estate and contracting, all that, everything just fell off. Obviously I would have to be looking towards some other type of venture. So that's
Would you would you make an immediate pivot back into real estate though, knowing what you know now, what your experience has been? And for people listening in, would you encourage people who are in the industry to make a pivot into the real estate industry?
People who are in the service industry.
Yeah. Like, so you
n-
dropped everything,
mhm.
your business is blown up, you go into the service industry, you rebuild your following, you're having fun, you're earning a certain amount of money relative to everybody else, right? I mean, you basically earning like corporate, somebody working in corporate America, knocking down 6-figure plus easy. So in that situation, would you or would you recommend someone pivot to real estate? It sounds like that's what you did.
I think everything is not for everybody.
Mhm.
I like sales and I like working with people and I like paying it forward and helping people in the community.
Mhm.
So for me, it's a good fit, but I think it's not for everybody. I think if you're
Mhm.
not a very organized, like self-starter,
Yeah.
then no, I don't. I think that it's a skill set that you either have or you don't have, or that like if you're trainable, and you're able to really listen to and apply the gems and gifts of knowledge that your people who who are mentoring you or you're collaborating with, if you're that kind of personality, then possibly. But if that's not your personality, and I mean, obviously everybody knows their strengths and weaknesses. Like if there's one thing everybody on the planet should know, you should know yourself better than anybody else. So if that's part of your skill set, then possibly. But I don't think real estate is for everybody. I think it's for people who are very driven and very
Mhm.
focused. If you don't have those two things, and that's not how people who would really know you would describe you, then no. I think that there's a lot of people in the industry right now, especially when you hear like people with their stats that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
not doing anything. And it's amazing to me, like even when I talk with other people, I'd be like, wow, like I don't even know like
Yeah.
why they're even still involved in the business, because
Yeah.
they're really not um doing anything. And I have had the opportunity to like mentor people, and I was just talking with the people at my brokerage who were sending me mentees, and I was like, man, like they're not even responding. Like these people are like they're not serious. That's just the bottom line and bottom line. So I mean, I think if you have a passion for it and you have a real interest in it, then yes. But if it's something that you think, oh, it looks glamorous and it looks fun, then no, there's a lot of downside to it. And there's a lot of, just like what we're doing,
Yeah.
there's a lot of times where you would feel discouraged, or you would get someone who was not serious, wasting your time, not qualified, or you get all the way through a transaction and something goes wrong. Like right now, I have a transaction where the appraisal came in painfully low. Um, you know, so there's those times when things don't work out, and I think that you know you have to be able to take the the good with the bad and the bitter with the sweet. And if you don't have a strong sense of self and other streams of income as well, it could be a challenging road.
So like I'm paying attention to how this is flowing. So you would get into the service industry, you start crushing it,
Mhm.
you'd relaunch PPLSI, right?
I would never let it go. I would just keep
You would
doing
just
it no
you would
matter
launch,
what, whether I was
but I'm
like
saying
on
we're
the side of
starting
the
from scratch,
road,
so you
whatever.
don't have it.
I
So
don't have it at all.
that's something you would immediately segue into. And I guess the question I would ask, forget the audience, would you also segue into real estate like you did?
I would.
Okay.
I would, because I like it and I have my contracting background. I came into the game as a contractor.
Yeah.
So that is something that for me, people are always going to need stuff. There's always going to be people who are like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? You got somebody who can do this, who can do that. So I would never like just let that go. I have had times where I was burnt out from dealing with bums.
Yeah.
Um, where I was like, I'm gonna take a break from it and I'm only gonna do certain things. But I would definitely, keep that going. And I do like real estate. So yeah, I probably would segue back into that as
That's
well.
fascinating, and particularly how you would immediately leverage social media
Oh,
to
absolutely.
like get things rolling. Where I know for me,
Even now, I
yeah,
leverage social media for like real estate. I'm always posting up like Facebook. I posted up, I have a closing today. I just posted up a condo I have, and
mhm.
I, posted it on multiple sites. I'm always engaging in social media with what I'm doing. I have several, Instagrams. I got one for the contracting. I'll post up jobs we're doing to get engagement, or even ugly things about contracting, like some clients who were trying to be frugal with their resources and didn't have heat on in the properties, and what can happen in winter in Michigan, and just like the bad things that happen in those houses, or tenants that are not tidy. I post up real stuff.
Oh, people watch those dumpster fires
Oh,
all day.
absolutely. Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting. Um, I probably would not use social media to relaunch again. If everything for me blew up and I had to start from scratch today, the first thing I would probably do is I would look for a product. I would look for a product. It could be PPLSI. It could be the things that I'm interested in. Like I'm interested in fitness. So anything involving fitness, not these like fake energy drinks that cure cancer and fix a marriage and start up your car in the middle. But things that I knew would actually benefit people health wise. But I would find something to sell. Um, I would do a project 100. So once I found that thing, I would do a project 100, and I would literally just in the first 3-4 days invite 100 people to learn about what it is I'm doing. Right. Um, then something I would do that I did not do in the beginning of my career, mainly because there was no one there that I was aware of. But even afterwards, I think I was a little bit short-sighted. The moment I got up extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 like a disposable income, I would bring on the coach. I'd immediately find somebody in the industry that was crushing it, doing better than I am, and I would say, "Let me come work for you," like damn near for free. I'm like, I just want to work for you. I want to learn. I'm not here to take. I'm not here to be disruptive. I'm none of that. I just want to look. What do you need help with? So I'd find somebody with deep pockets and find out what they need, and I'll say, I'm that guy. I'm gonna do that for you, right? So, I mean, if it happened today, I'd probably call up some of the top wholesalers I know in the marketplace. Um, if it happened today, I'd probably call up some of the top people I know in the mortgage origination industry. So I'd want something that would turn over quickly, right? So I'm broke, start from scratch, I ain't got nothing. So I would need stuff that would turn over relatively quick. I don't have, I can't get paid on a 60 or 90-day wait, right? That ain't happening. I need quick turnover. At that point, I would probably begin to use social media to document the successes, the success stories I'm creating, either for myself or for other people that I'm working with. And I would use that to drive more interest toward my business, which now I'm kind of telling on myself. I'm feeling some kind of way because I should be doing that right now, right? And I don't do that enough. Those are things I'm thinking about right away. And then once I'm generating enough revenue, like I'd start doing the arbitrage, right? Because me being me, I'm gonna knock on doors at first. That's what I'm doing. I'm knocking on doors. I play well in person. I know how to talk to people. I know how to engage. I know how to conduct myself and be attracted to the marketplace. But the moment I had enough disposable income, I would find somebody, like somebody else out there who are hungry on their knuckles. I'll probably cherry pick someone at a bank if I feel like they were hungry and already had skills, looking to do something on the side. I would cherry pick somebody working in a tax accounting office, not the actual tax or accounting professional, but maybe the administrative assistant or somebody working there. Man, I'm not ashamed. I would probably go open an insurance agency. I would poach one of their administrative assistants if I could. I would introduce myself. And I would literally say, hey, I need you to contact 50 to 100 people per day. I will pay you $150 a day to do that, just to make those phone calls. And I don't care if you get them done in an hour. I don't care if you get those calls done in 30 minutes. I don't care if you get those calls done in 3 hours. You're just going to get your 150. And your job is to call people, share the pitch, share the script. And if you, and the people are interested, send them to me. And I would even add commission on top of it. I would say, I'm gonna pay you this flat 150 a day. And then whatever it is I earn off of closing people, 10%. And I think that's how I would literally start out. So it wouldn't even matter. It could be PPLSI, it could be dietary products in the fitness industry. Since that's something I know very well, being a gym rat, that would just fall hand in hand with me. I'm not opposed to the service industry either, right? Find a restaurant, not one of these little, Coney Islands, but I'm talking about a high-end restaurant.
Right.
Roll up in there, harass the hell out of the manager. I remember for the short stints that I was in the hospitality industry, it was no thing to earn $200 or $300 in a day. I hated every moment of it, but money wasn't bad. I just don't know if I would, I don't know if I have the temperament to be able to, you do what you have to do, right? There's no such, I would never say I would not do anything. I would do what was necessary. But that would be like last course, right? I'd spend the first week finding a service or product that I want to sell, and I would go in. Probably over the course of a week, I'd probably reach out to about 1,000 people in a week and just go ahead and get my 900 no's out the way and collect my 100 yeses. And all the products I would think to market or sell, that would immediately put at minimum a good $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 in my pocket that week. That's what I would do. That's interesting. So what would be your next pivot? So you're doing social media, you are building more of a following. People are checking for you. So you got your PPLSI going on, which I know you would do. You got your real estate going on, which I know you would do. I'm assuming at that point you wean yourself off being a bartender.
Yeah, I would. I mean, because I feel like once you get to a certain point and you're like busy with your other things that you're doing, you don't have time to punch someone else's clock. You're punching your own clock.
Right.
And I think, for like bartending business, period, service industry, because there is such a high turnover, you are constantly getting opportunities to pick up other shifts. So like for me, I remember one time I worked like 32 days straight, and I was like doing doubles back to back to back. I was stacking my money, but it was like at a certain point, I was like, man, like my attitude is like garbage because I'm just like irritated. I'm just tired of it, and like even people who know me and who work with me, they like, especially too, if I'm hungry, oh my God, I'm like the worst. So I feel like, once you get to a certain amount and you got your money stacked, you're like, all right, I gotta be able to take the plunge and take a chance on myself. Like I gotta put this to the side. I can't just keep punching somebody else's clock, because if I'm gonna do a 16-hour day, let me do a 16-hour day on my own situation, my own stuff I'm trying to build up. So yeah, so that would definitely be like the next pivot would be out of the service industry and back on Broadway to, the multiple streams of income and the stuff that I'm already trying to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's a no-brainer. And I think because I work with a lot of investors, there's so many different opportunities to get bites from that apple.
But keep in mind, you wouldn't have those investors in your network. Your
Right.
entire business blew up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have those relationships anymore.
Right. Yep. Those relationships are just gone. Right. So as you're building new relationships in the service industry, because
That
you're,
wouldn't change your thinking. You're like, forget it, I would still get the new ones. I build the new relationships.
I would just build new relationships. And because I speak two languages fluently, I think it's very easy to build those relationships. That's a game changer. Yeah, that's just, it's really a game changer. Like, I mean, even if because one thing about like the Latino community is we're very, very industrious. We're very, very like entrepreneurial mindset. So it's like you're gonna be networking with other people who like, even if they don't really know how to do this or that, like there's gonna be opportunities just created from like those relationships, period. You know,
Yeah.
And we refer. Like I'm constantly getting referrals, just random people who are like, hey, do you speak Spanish? Yes, I do. So, and then it goes from there. So I think, yeah, that definitely would be something that, and two, like I said, I would be like very open to other ideas. Like when you're meeting people and you're getting to know people as like a bartender, like, people are telling you different stuff they're into. So I'm always open to collaborate, even if it's something I've never done. If they pitch it to me and I research it and I feel like it sounds like a good opportunity, then I'm definitely into it. Like one of our conversations you and I were talking about, we were talking about like a concierge service for like people who are like have like kids or whatever, like parents, dogs, whatever you have where you need like an extra vehicle or an extra set of hands to help you with whatever, creating like a type of service for that kind of situation too. I mean, I would be open to collaborating on that. There's a lot of like opportunities in that space, like logistics and, dropping people off, dropping packages off, helping people with, delegation of tasks, because you figure like we were talking about, if you got a couple kids and both your kids, let's say you have two kids, let's just say you have two, no, three, and all three of your kids do two different activities. I mean, first of all, you better have a bankroll because activities are expensive, but you also better have like multiple ways to get to and from these activities, because sometimes the activities might be close by, most times they're not. And then like a lot of times they're like having events. Like one of the ladies on my prayer call, her kids are in gymnastics and she's constantly like shuffling out of state and doing this. And I'm like, man, how does she like do it? Like, she's like one of them like tiger moms where she's at every event. She's, like in the trenches with them. So, you really do have to have like a plan. And I think that would be a great service to be able to offer, so I think, that could be something too. I would be open, like, even if like the real estate stuff, okay, let's just say like everything's desolate, there's nothing going on, okay. I mean, then there's other stuff that I'm open to doing as long as it's an income generating activity and I feel like we can get paid and we can make money off of it and be successful and have repeat business and get referrals, then I would be totally open to, new ideas as well. But I do think that that's something that's needed immediately, like that concierge service.
You think you could turn that over quickly? Find people. Obviously, it's easy to find people with children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it would be
about engagement.
Yeah, especially too if they like know you and they know like you're entrepreneurial and hey, I have this idea. Do you know anybody who you think it might benefit? Most people have kids, or know somebody who has kids, or have a niece or a nephew, or whoever, somebody that needs to go. Even if you have children who like they need tutoring after school or whatever, somebody knows somebody who needs that service.
Yeah, I remember there was a young lady who lived around the corner from where I'm at now, in the downtown area. And I remember she was doing the babysitting. I don't think she was charging enough. But for me, what I did not like was that when she was babysitting, she was immobile. You know what I mean? Like she'd have 3, 5 kids, and she was sequestered. She was stuck wherever she was at.
Right.
And I just can't imagine being involved in the entrepreneur endeavor that will require me to have to do that. It would feel too much like a job, you know?
Absolutely.
I know for me, you know, I would lean in social media, but I'll be honest, not the way you are. I would immediately set up a MailChimp account. All the people who say yes or no to me, I'd have their information, and I would just start dripping on them too. That's something I would immediately add to my repertoire. I would immediately acquire a CRM, and I'd immediately start creating campaigns where once every 4 to 7 days, they were getting some type of update, some information about a service offering I was providing. And once again, right, I'm feeling some kind of way because I know I should be doing this, right? Having even discounts, promos, right? The social events. Now, of course, at that point, you gotta be cash flowing, right? But I would immediately start looking for a location where I could get people to congregate together and invite them out. Because I'd rather spend an hour talking to 3, 5, 10 people than have 3, 5 hour-long conversations. And so I know that would be my next move. And I know I would immediately start promoting it left and right via CRM, right? Get people in the room talking, get them gathering, get them networking. I would do it in such a way where it was more social than I'm doing today. So I would be able to cast a wider net and get them in a room and be real informal in terms of what it is that I'm doing and give everyone a chance to talk about what their value prop was. I would immediately do that. Yeah, probably within the first 3 weeks, that would like stepping on the gas when it comes to that. You know, I've thought about the whole rideshare thing, right? I see people doing that. And I know some individuals who actually make or earn decent money doing rideshare. I know people are doing $200 a day, but to earn that $200 a day, they are either working like 8, 7 p.m. until 2, 3 a.m. at night, which I would not do because I'm not happy with throwing up in my car.
Right.
But if I were to do it, I would probably do it between 3 a.m. and 7. So catching the people who are coming to and from work, going to and from school, going to and from the airport. But even still, I mean, man, that's a 6 to 8 hour time commitment to earn $100 to $200. You know, it's amazing when you've had some success as an entrepreneur, you get spoiled.
Oh,
right?
I agree.
I mean, I know I can literally get up and drive to a boulevard that's populated with business owners. I could approach 10 people, get one yes, and that would take me less than 2 hours, which is what I do, right? That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to I have too many time commitments, and it's raining right now.
Oh,
But
is it?
but if I'm on my knuckles after rain.
I mean, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You got to thug it out. That's
But
all.
I mean, even today, I would not be surprised if 1 out of 5 people who I'm going to approach while I'm over at this business district didn't say, show me more. And I end up with a client, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would do the ride share. I think I would keep it exactly what I said I would do. All right, I'd find a product or service, Project 100. I'd run it up, approach at least 1,000 people over the course of a week. And then, of course, asking for referrals, right? I've always been heavily referral based. So the moment I get a successful outcome or client or help someone achieve something, I would immediately begin asking for referrals. that'll probably add another 3,000 people to my network in probably a 45-day period of time.
Right.
That's exactly what I would do. Of course, I'm taking for granted the fact that I have 20 years of sales experience, 20 years of pitching, 20 years of communicating very complicated concepts coming from the financial services industry. But I would not go into the financial services industry.
Right. Like you said, you're pivoting because that's gone.
Well, it's not that it's gone. It's like if I was broke today, right, on my knuckles, no money, to get licensed, even as an insurance agent, much less as an investment advisor, you're going to spend a month going through the licensing process, right? So you got to take the exam. You got to sit for the test. I mean, there's very little you can do to earn income right away in that industry, right out the gate. And if you're starting like, it was like one of those television shows where they drop Grant Cardone somewhere. I'm not waiting 30, 45 days for licensing. That's not going to happen.
Right.
If all I had was like a couple $100 to my name.
Right. You don't have time. You don't have time. Is not a luxury you have. You got to, like you said, you got to like get it today. You need to see today. Like,
I'm finding a product and I'm getting after it and I'm harassing people shamelessly, relentlessly, and unabashedly.
Just promoting it, like you said, like just off the rip.
Yep. I know a hustle that I would consider as well. And I never thought I would do something like this, but I helped another business owner get started in her secondhand clothing business. And she started generating income. I mean, within the first 3 to 4 days, I was like, whoa, and it was significant.
Well, was it like a consignment shop?
She would go, excuse me, she would go to secondhand stores. She would acquire the clothing, and then, and she would look for the high-end stuff.
Okay.
Right. And she would sell it on eBay. And I mean, it did not take long. It took only a handful of days. And she was turning it over, taking the cash, reinvesting. She went from buying maybe 1 or 2 items a day to she's going in there buying bins, like literally getting the bin. So she'd spend $50 to $100 on a bin of clothes. And she would sift through it for the high-end stuff. She would post it on eBay. Or, there are stores here in Detroit Metro that will actually buy those clothes and sell them as well. So anything that she didn't want, that she didn't think would move, she would take it to, was it Once Upon a Child and some of these other places. And I mean, I was shocked. I mean, she was, she wasn't earning corporate America grown adult money, but she was earning enough where if you needed to hurry up and pay for rent, acquire a car, eat, do the bare minimum, I would not be opposed to that. I would. Yeah. I know people like hitting up the garage sales and things like that, but I'm like, nope, because for me, it's just too much hit and miss. The arbitrage and understanding like what people place a value on, I don't know if I would risk that. I don't know if that's the direction I would go, but definitely clothing, easy. I was shocked to find out people will buy secondhand clothing at that rate, but they will do it. They get it in. I don't know if it was something I would do. Like I said, I think I would stick with the formula, right? But it's an option. It would be in the back of my head if something went sideways or stuff got tight all of a sudden. I would definitely do that.
Well, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think like you said, you just have to like be open. Like, when something like that happens and the bottom falls out of whatever you're doing, which has happened several times in history of, ebb and flow of business, like, 2008, 2012, all these different times when like, everything hit the fan and people were like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's just something that you just got to deal with it as it comes. And, like we're thinking about it, actively, but, you have to also be able to like pivot in your plan too. Like if you feel like,
Yes.
well, yeah, this, you have to be like very flexible because, things change at the drop of a dime. You just never know, how it's going to go. So I think, yeah, just being, very open and very, willing to pivot, willing to collaborate, willing to be coached by other people who are doing whatever is all very important if you're going to bounce back from the bottom falling out of something that you're doing. And like you said, when you get spoiled because you're like, okay, I'm used to making blah, blah, blah. And then, now you're like, okay, I'm like, scrounging around trying to figure it out now. You know what I mean? I try to like, like pull it up out the mud, like, well, like, what's
Yeah.
going on, like, so yeah, it would definitely require some adjustments and eating some humble pie.
Yeah.
So,
Like
for sure.
something else I would do is I would do what I'm doing now, except of course I would turn up. So right now, I'm spending 3 hours on Saturday. I'm spending 5 hours over the course of a week wholesaling. I would not do that right away, but maybe 3 months, 4 months into my situation, I would start doing it.
Okay.
I've still the only thing that has put more money in my pocket, like lump sums in a short amount of time, that I know would be consistent was when I was an investment advisor, right? When I would find a client that had a lot of disposable income, had real goals and ambitions to build their asset base. But at least when I was doing it, it was a lot of fast pennies. Slow dollars came every now and again, but those slow dollars came consistently. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head where if I was on my knuckles, starting over, only had a couple bucks, I would do the same thing too. I would pay $100 for prop stream and car, bus, train, don't matter. I'd find B class, C class neighborhood, and I would start looking for mail piling up, grass not being cut, broken windows. I would pull that information up, skip trace it, and I would get to calling, which is what I'm doing now for that reason, right? Man, I'm just surprised more people don't do it because I know what I'm gonna earn.
A certain level of like discipline though. Like
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I'm not surprised more people don't do it because like honestly, like with what we're doing, being sorters and just sharing information with people with, our business that we share, like I feel like I really kind of see a side of people that it doesn't surprise me that more people aren't doing it because it requires hard work. It requires setting time aside to, okay, like you said, on Saturdays from blah, blah, blah to blah, 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 this is like on my schedule. I've time blocked it. I, put it on my schedule. It doesn't matter what else is going on. If I'm, not in a coma or in surgery, this is what's going on here, no matter what. And then you execute. And I think that that is something that is definitely a skill set that you either have or you don't. And I think it really doesn't surprise me that more people aren't doing it because, you have to put the plan together and execute and, follow up and knows and deal with people cussing you out and being like, how'd you get my number? And, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you have to deal with, people rejecting you. So, and most people don't like that. They're, they like very easily, like, oh, wow, it's too much. So yeah, it does.
Amazing, man. I don't know. I mean, I do know. I know exactly what you're talking about.
We deal with it every day.
100% agreeing with it. I guess you just take it for granted, right? Because we've developed the alligator's skin, but we just don't care. And unfortunately, people care too much about other people's opinion, which is why they don't accomplish anything.
Right.
So that's a huge advantage, right?
Absolutely. Being willing to jog around the track while somebody else is clearly jogging in place, because those people are jogging in place that are worried about, like I was telling you about how sometimes people will discredit your skills based off of your gender. And to you, that's like weird and foreign and bizarre. But because when you're dealing with it on a regular basis, it's just like, yeah, okay, next. But anyway, like I was saying, you like, it's just, you're immune to it because you just feel like you deal with it so much. It's like, it
No, I don't
doesn't
care.
affect you anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And two, you already know too, like, even though this person thinks that, you can think of like 100 reasons why you could easily chop and screw them and prove them wrong based off of like stuff that you've accomplished and projects you've completed or whatever the case may be. So I think,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, you're right. Trying to think, what else would I do if I had to start over today? If my business, everything I know, how everything I've built blew up.
I mean, I feel like we would figure it out as we go. Like we already kind of got like a
Yeah, but
like start, and it's
I'm
like, as you start networking, talking with people, you got your, page of 100, you're, going
yep.
to these events, and this, like, other things are going to come to you like organically. You're going to be exposed to different things organically. Like just when you're talking with other people, when you might go to an event and somebody else might be, hey, I'm doing this and this. Like I just had somebody who presented something to me yesterday. They're doing it's like offering financial services. There's all different type of stuff that people are doing.
Yeah. I guess
Well,
I'm just trying to be a little bit more granular for people who are listening in,
mhm.
right? Because look, you see what's about to transpire in 2025. The foreclosure rates are about to skyrocket. So foreclosure is about to start. See the layoffs, and not everybody is getting laid off with a buyout, right? They're just getting let go, pack your boxes, and you got 2 weeks of pay,
Or not even.
or not even. So
You're just fired. Yeah.
if I were in that situation with what I know, I'm thinking about the things that would be like people who at least have burning desire and willpower could just do and execute on. So I know some of the things I would do, but I'm also thinking about things like what would be practical for people, right? There's probably a lot of different things I can't even think of, right? Power washing. I know an entrepreneur that was on his knuckles. Was he coming out of a divorce? He may have been coming out of a divorce. And he literally had $400 or $500 to his name. And literally, I don't know if he rented or he bought it. Either way, he acquired a power washer at a really inexpensive price. He just started knocking on doors. Like, we take care of that for you. And I know he made his money back within like 2-3 days of buying the power washer. And after that, it was like
he was on and popping.
Oh, he was on and popping. But once again, like you said, he didn't care how many no's.
Right, because he's knocking on doors, he's getting up early, he's,
Yeah.
That's appropriate. Hey, what's up? You guys need this? I mean, 'cause power washing is a good gig because you get like if people have like the grass stains or the doo-doo stains on their house, they need it on the driveway. Do garage house, offer them a package deal. That's a great entrepreneurial venture, So and you get referrals because once you do a good job, like, oh wow, you did it. Hey, anybody else that I can call? So yeah.
Man, and social media could be such a powerful tool in a business like that because you can literally show the before and afters. People, when you provide that type of service, they're happy. So they're willing to give a testimony and chat you up. Yeah, I would do that. That's something I would consider doing. It's a skill set, but it's not like a skill set that's like unattainable. I mean, if you iterate fast enough, you can get pretty good at it pretty fast. Man, I personally, that would not be my first go-to, obviously.
It would be first go.
It would be
a possible.
Yeah.
If I can do what I can do. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't want to be at the corner store drinking beer out of a jelly jar, smoking Lucy. So I got to do what I got to do. I mean,
you are so hilarious.
I mean, I'm just saying, hey, whatever it takes. I mean, you're talking about you're on your knuckles. You're eating ramen noodles and drinking the little Kool-Aid juices, you know. So
And it's not to be judgmental, but that does, like, when I see able-bodied men chilling.
oh, the gentleman who I was just talking about with the beer and the jelly.
Yeah, when I see that, there's something in me. It's almost something savage comes out in me where I just want to roll up on them and grab them by the ear, or just, I want to say something like provocative, like get you know what I mean? Like, it's almost it's not to belittle people who are struggling and going to the BS.com and challenges and everything that transpires. And of course, especially if you have disabilities or something like that, that's totally different.
Right.
But when I see someone who is like able-bodied, given, I mean, as I look out the door, I see 3 or 4 things I would jump off into right now. Yeah, I see 3 or 4 things I would literally jump off to. And I know there's a couple businesses down the street I would approach, like, hey, I know you need this.
Right.
I'll do it for you at a discount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man, that's fascinating. Yeah. And then at that point, once I acquire 3 or 4 people who are willing to make the phone calls for me, I would have to decide how I would scale from there. So I would start with things that would give me fast pennies. And then I would start to index towards things that would give me slow dollars. Right? Because the fast pennies keep you alive, but you're going to need some slow dollars to make the next leap, right? To really get back on your feet again. I mean, I'm trying to think about it when I came out of my divorce. I mean, that was the situation I was in. I was on my knuckles. It was like the worst of the worst. Fortunately, because of my relationship with PPLSI, I had fast pennies coming in. But even that wasn't good enough. I had to turn up.
Of course.
I remember I was waking up at, would I do this again? I would not do it again on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is different today than what it was when I jumped on there. But man, I was reaching out to 50 LinkedIn people per day.
Mm-hmm.
Per day, like, what's up? My name's so-and-so. I see you got ABCD going on in your profile. Let me ask you a question. Is ABCD important to you? Is that something you'd be willing to take 15 minutes to chat about? I was doing that 50 times a day to turn up in my business and find clients in a hurry. Mm-hmm. So I was immobile. It was terrible, my gosh. Basically, all I had was my phone and pretty much my iPad and the clothes on my back. And I just immediately turned to LinkedIn, turned up, increased my income like significantly, and then moved into a temporary situation before I found somebody that I knew who was working in some capacity with Complex, and I moved in there. But that's what I did. I'm trying to think, is there a platform? I might try it again on LinkedIn, but I don't think it would be nearly as effective today on LinkedIn as it was a couple of years ago. That platform's changed so much. That's why I'm not confident that I would personally, I know other people are better at it, that I would personally lean into social media like that. Like, I would just go old school, straight up, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball. I'm knocking on doors. I'm getting doors slammed in my face. I'm like, what? There's a yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I'll stop back by next week, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that honestly, like, social media is a good platform depending on what it is you're trying to do. But realistically, like, if I'm being totally candid with you, I do feel like eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, face to face interaction has always been a top social media, period, because there's a lot of pretenders, PBSers, people who just want to play on your phone. Like, even now we have people just playing on their phones, honestly, where it's just like, stop playing on my phone, just knock it off.
Yeah.
And it's very common. Whereas meeting somebody face to face is a little bit different. Of course, they could still be a PBSer, but it kind of like makes it less likely. I do think that social media does kind of make it higher probability that it could be, just a waste of time or someone who's just playing, so that definitely is the difference. I mean, because something fun, like coming to the bar and drinking and eating, like people are always looking for fun and for an escape from reality. And that's what coming to the bar is. It's an escape from reality. So it's a completely different type of situation. We're talking about like, being serious about promoting a product. Social media may or may not be like, sometimes, you could get some, studs, but you would be getting duds too.
Well, I think what people misunderstand about social media, because you have these, yahoos on here selling people pipe dreams.
Dreams.
People don't know the real amount of volume and work that it takes. Right? You can do it, but people have no idea like how much volume it takes. For me to duplicate what I did several years ago on LinkedIn, I probably have to reach out to 150 people per day. I think that's I feel pretty confident. I still use LinkedIn to acquire clients, and I know my KPIs pretty well, and the ratio of people who I engage with versus who actually respond versus become clients, right? So, yeah, it would be intense. Like I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and from 6 until 9. Of course, if I'm dropping off kids to and from school, it'd probably be like 6 until 8, and then again 9 until 10, 9 to 11. And I would literally reach out to 150 easy people during that time frame, but it would be intense, right? And even if it took me until 12 o'clock, I would do that. But like the amount of volume, like number one, today LinkedIn would also ban you for doing that. They would shadow banning. They would mess with you for doing that. But I'm trying to think. I was touching 10 to 20 people per hour. Yeah. And that was just outreach and tactical, strategic, not spraying, but literally identifying that many people. So actually, no, I was probably touching 30 to 40 people in terms of outreach per hour. To achieve what I wanted to achieve, which I was basically averaging a client per day when I was doing that. So man, the numbers actually be higher. Today, based on what I'm seeing, I would probably have to touch between, I have to touch between 300 and 500 people.
Oh, wow.
To get that for certain, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm gonna get a yes today. Because 10% of the people, at least that was what I'm getting on social media. 10% of people, when I engage them, they engage me. And then once I get the person engaged, I still schedule the appointment. I schedule the presentation. And my experience has been, while in person, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball, I can consistently count on myself to close at a 30% tick. I don't care what it is. If I like it, if I believe in it, I understand it, I'm going to get up to close to 30%. Starting out, I might suck from, relatively speaking, at 20%, but eventually I'm going to get to that 30%. but you also have to account for the fact that when you're reaching out on people via social media and scheduling appointments, people flake more. So you have to schedule more appointments to get the same, right? So yeah, 300 to 500 people for me via LinkedIn. I could probably get about 4 people to schedule a meetup with me per day. And I would count on closing some days 1 person, some days 2. But man, no, I you know what? I did it back then because I didn't have transportation. I had lost everything. So I didn't have a choice. I couldn't jump in a car and go somewhere. The bus took too long. So I jumped on LinkedIn. But today, assuming I had a vehicle, door knocking.
Yeah, for sure.
Door knocking.
Hey, even if not, I just take the bus or an Uber and be like, it's got to make it do what it does. Bike, whatever. Yeah. Moped.
That's funny you said bike, but yeah.
I mean, nah, you see grown-ups. I see people downtown biking with the moped and all that. I mean, maybe not today because it's raining, but yeah, I mean, by any means necessary, you know, roller skates, whatever. I mean, would make it work. I mean, you know, you riding your bike is exercise too. I'll take my dog with me. Like, this is my assistant, you know, like whatever. You know, we're counting I'm multitasking. I'm taking her for a walk. I'm counting my steps. I'm knocking on doors. I'm doing it all, you know? So yeah, we got to do what you got to do, right? You know?
What's that tool? So I'm getting ready to download on my phone. So I'm actually getting ready to find somebody to help prospect now. I'm a wholesaler. So there's a tool you can download on your phone. I can't remember the name of it. You can take a picture of the house. It'll pull up all the stats on the house.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. There's a tool where you can literally roll up on a home. You pull up a home on the tool, get the picture of it and whatnot. And it will pull up phone number, owner, data on that home. And of course, you know, with a tool like that, it's not 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But it's accurate enough where it works.
Okay.
And it's 2 people. I'm gonna pay for that app. I'm gonna have it on their phone. They both ride share, and they both you know, they dropping off food and transporting people. Yeah. So I'm like, every time you drive through a neighborhood, I want you to drive a couple blocks where you take your next ride or drop off your next thing of food. And if you see a residence that looks like it's being neglected, run it. Right? So I would anticipate that if I can get 1 person to give me 10 houses per day that looks like they're in bad shape. So over the course of a month, that's 300. Half of them aren't going to answer the phone. Or if they do, I'm going to get cursed out. So I'm down to 150. If I talk to 150, about 15 to 20 of them are going to be BSing, like BSing hard. Maybe as many as 50 to 60 are going to be BSing hard. But I would squeeze 1 close out of that.
I agree.
I would.
Yeah, those people are like your bird dogs. They're out. They're like
exactly. I would have them bird dogging.
Absolutely.
I remember
as long as they're like motivated and they are, you know, stay on task, then yeah, that's great. Driving for dollars.
I was so mad before the when the pandemic hit, because I had a good one.
What happened to them?
Pandemic hit, and for a while, you know, the volume of people who were ride sharing.
Yeah.
And you know, he's like, man, I ain't got time to do this anymore. I'm like, every second I need to be
generate income.
Yeah. I should reach out to him again, because when he was active and involved, we got some stuff business done. I just haven't figured out what I would pay a person to do that. I know what my KPI
commission. Maybe commission.
Yeah, I was throwing them basically a little bit of gas money per week. That's what the equivalent of it was. And then it was the same thing with him. It was 10%. I was like, whatever I close, you get 10%.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's fair. Like, you know, they're making a commission off of, you know, something that you're actually able to get to the finish line, that's, yeah. And it's,
Yeah, I mean,
keep it going.
I had to bark at some people now. I'd be like, look, you know, let's be real. What are you going to do? It's going to pay you an extra $1,000 a month. Yeah, what are you going to do is going to pay you extra $1,000 a month for all you're doing is taking 10 pictures per day. I was like, bro, don't, for real. Like, stop the madness. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always have to have those conversations with people.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're running up against it as usual. Oh, wow. I didn't realize how much time about it. This was a fun conversation.
Because it really made you like think, like, okay, like
Yeah.
what would you do? You know, it's a very real scenario that could happen at any time for anybody. Because actually somebody had said to me, like, they said that to me. They're like, oh, what would you do if your little real estate business and your little contracting business, you know, like went kaplooey? And I was like, oh, I know exactly what I would do if my little businesses went kaplooey. And I told was like, you know, I know what I would do. I'm a beast in that. Like, I'm good. So I already know it'd be like easy. And I would bounce right back. I'm not, you know, so and it was cool because it's like, you know, it opens up the floodgates for like other ideas of things that, you know, hey, yeah, you might have to pivot, you might have to, you know, restructure some things. But you know, being an entrepreneur, you have to have the mindset to pivot no matter what it is you're doing. So
yeah, I mean, it also, I mean, I benefit from the fact that I've been on my knuckles during my entrepreneur journey 4 times. Yeah, 4 times I've been on my knuckles where it was like, dag, I'm literally starting from zero. So I know the things I could fall back on. I know the things that would come pretty easy to me. It's a little bit different from when I started my journey 20 years ago, but still.
And you know, you could survive and thrive, like regardless of how far down you went. Like, you know, like you said, at one point you didn't even have a car. At one point I didn't have a car. I lived with my brother's wife. So, you know, I didn't even have a credit card. So I mean, it was like, okay, I had some cash, but I didn't have a credit card, you know? So yeah, it's just one of those things, like you got to like figure it out. And of course I did, and here I am. But you know, it definitely separates the wheat from the chaff, that's for sure.
I'm just thinking like before, see, the thing is, I was involved in sales since I was 13 years of age. Because I was doing Imperial Sports and Foot Locker at the same time.
Okay.
And United Artists.
Oh wow, okay.
So in all those jobs, it did not take me long to figure out, oh, I need to upsell to get some more money, right? So by the time I ended up in a real quote unquote sales job where you could straight up earn grown adult money, I still had all those years of experience through high school.
Right.
So, man, I'm trying to think. If I started with just the skill set I had, so by the time I got to college, I was not an expert, but I was good at sales. I was reasonable. I mean, I could do okay. I didn't have the discipline I needed to have, of course, to earn grown adult income, but I could move some product if I wanted to. Any type of product, didn't matter. As long as I could get behind it. I'm trying to think, that person, what would I do today? Because while I may have lacked discipline sometimes, I've always been a consistent person. Once I find something that works, man, I'm gonna wring that thing dry. Like, I'm gonna get every drop out of it.
Sure.
So, man, I just wish I knew what an entrepreneur was back then. Because I was doing entrepreneurial things. I just didn't know you could make a living doing it. Like, I remember putting on like events in college. And some of them were duds, but then some of them were smacking, man. Like I knew how to pull things together, and I knew how to loosely have people around me who were willing to buy in. Like, and then now people are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars event planning when I was already doing that, man. I'm like,
Right.
what was I thinking? But you know what? Aside from the real estate, because at that age, I didn't know nothing about nothing, wasn't mature enough, probably didn't have enough years underneath my belt to deal with older, cantankerous people.
And exposure too, like when you're not exposed to certain stuff, like
Yeah.
I started as like doing sales when I was in high school too. Like I worked at Afterthoughts. I was like a associate manager, assistant manager, whatever you want to call it. But like if you're not really around people that are like mentoring you and showing you like this is how you can turn this into this is how you can do that, like you're basically learning everything through like kind of like a test, like a crash test dummy, like by trial and error. You're not really, you're just kind of waffling through it and figuring it out as you go, as opposed to having a straight like guidance. So that's why sometimes it takes, you know, people longer to figure stuff out. Because if you had a mentor at that age that was like, hey, you need to do this, and this, and you were had the mindset to apply it, you know, it could have been a totally different type of situation. But, you know, like when you're young, you know, you're not really all the way there with it. You know, you're just kind of like going through different stuff and figuring stuff out. And, you know, you might even have a group of friends or people that you're around that are doing other things that are far more lucrative, and they're looking at you like, why are you even doing this? This is a waste of time.
And I be smirking at people today.
Yeah, right. I'm just,
smirking
but
at them like, for real.
yeah, you know, like I mean, but at that time, you do have people who are like, I mean, what, like, well, okay, well, we're over here, we're doing this and this. Like, nah, that's not what we're on.
Yep. You know, this conversation at the end of the day, what it really reminded me, and now I'm definitely gonna. So I have my children on Monopoly. I have them on. I'm about to start introducing them to coding and things like that to help them out. But now I got my mind made up. My children are going to learn. I'm gonna put them in a situation where they have to sell something. I don't care if it's candy. But throughout our conversation, the one common denominator is that because of our sales experience, you can drop us anywhere and we're gonna climb right back up to the top again. It ain't gonna take long at all. And you throw the leadership or organization development on top of it, then you can scale. So for me, that's interesting to have that situation occur like that. That's interesting. Anyway,
but it just like kind of like gave you an epiphany too, that that's like a really important skill set. And just think of your kids, how much further along with that guidance from you. Like if your kids are Girl Scout, Boy Scout, whatever, or like even through your church or a youth organization, they're trying to, you know, generate money for a trip or, you know, whatever, you know, like that is a good skill set. And just think of how much further along they will be than we are, because we had to figure it out on our own. They don't have to figure it out, and they got a mentor right in their house that's like having dad moments and doing all this stuff. Like, no, you're not going to do this. You're going to do this. You know, just think of how much further along they're going to be, you know, like even when they're out of high school, like they'll probably already kind of still like have like businesses that they're already doing as teenagers, because you're already teaching them that now. You know, so that's great.
So we're about to get a lot of background noise and disruption behind me.